Welcome to the show. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Chandrayaan 2 now inches closer to the moon. Today, the lander has separated from the orbiter. The lander Vikram is named after the father of India's space program, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. The news was broken to the world by ISRO through a tweet saying the separation has been successful. In the next 5 days, the lander will now reduce its distance from the moon to 30 kilometers, preparing for the final soft landing on the 7th of September. The lander will take 15 minutes to land, and this has been called the most crucial window of the entire mission. India will be the first nation to attempt a soft landing on the South Polar region of the moon, putting us ahead of the world superpowers in our space capability. And in fact, we have a couple of guests to talk about this historical moment which beckons us and awaits millions and billions of people across the world and within India. On my right is Major General A.K. Sivaj, who's a defense expert. And we also have Ravi Gupta, former DRDO scientist, who's joining us. In fact, General Sivaj, let me begin by asking you that there is a saying in Hindi, and I want you to tell me if this can be applied to this particular situation the Chandrayaan finds itself in. हाथी निकल गया, पूंछ रहती है.
बिल्कुल ठीक बोला आपने. It's absolutely aptly covered because majority of thing has already been done properly. But the major issue is the soft landing. You know, today one was the very complex thing was how a lander will get separated from the orbiter. And thereafter, the lander is now reducing the distance between moon and its own self, and finally it will land on 7. The crunch point is landing. That is the most complex part of this mission. And especially it is soft landing. We are one of those country which is now trying to do a soft landing. And the best point is that it is doing soft landing in southern pole of moon, which has not been explored by any other country.
Absolutely.
Earlier, the country whichever have done landing there, America, China, or
Israel,
Russia,
the latest one.
They were very close to the equator or toward the northern side. And here we have gone to southern side. Now, the 2-3 aspects are there on the southern side. One is that this portion in South Pole remains mainly in the shadow area. The chances of finding the water and the water cubes are higher than any other place. And the second issue is that when NASA is trying to explore, they say that in future possibly if they want to have any human being being taken to moon and habitation has to be made, the best place is the southern side, not the equator or the northern. So possibly this is the area of future. India has very scientifically selected this, and this soft landing, if it will be successful, which I am sure will be there, it will be a game changer as far as a mission on the moon is concerned.
Absolutely. And Mr. Gupta, let's also get a first reaction from you. Now, a couple of deorbiting maneuvers are still left, but the landing is considered to be a crucial part. In fact, the ISRO chief also went on to say that when it lands, it's going to be a terrifying moment. He did not mean it in a negative sense. He meant that, it's not something which has been tried or done before. So the novelty of it perhaps is making everybody nervous.
Very true. And Dr. Sevan has very rightly said it's a terrifying moment, making the heartbeat stop momentarily. Basically because, first of all, we are doing it for the first time. As we know that there is no atmosphere on moon. As a result, you cannot use the aerodynamics like we do it in the case of an aircraft or in the case of a parachute to land on a surface. So the only way is that you fire the motors, rocket motors in the reverse direction, that is towards the surface on which you are going to land, so that your speed gradually reduces. And all the while you have to maintain the stability of the lander, so that when finally you make a touchdown, all the legs, they should be touching it almost simultaneously. And there is a limit to which you can tolerate the inclination of the land. So that is the reason why in the next few days the lander will be examining the landing zone which we have already identified more carefully, more minutely, and autonomously take a decision which place to land. In fact, the ISRO team has identified 2 sites. One site is slightly towards the east, the other one is slightly towards the west. and so that in case on a closer look, if the lander finds that this is not the right place, there is risk, it will shift to the other side and land over there.
Right. In fact, my colleague Pankaj also collected instances of what has transpired in this wonderful mission so far and what possibly could happen. Let's listen in to what Pankaj has to say.
A momentous day, I would say, in the history of ISRO and for all the scientific community in India. The world is watching India as of now as Chandrayaan 2 approaches pretty closer to the moon. As you just shared with our viewers that the Vikram lander has separated now. I'll quickly show the viewers here how it all happened. This is where the Chandrayaan had entered the lunar orbit. This maneuvering started to happen. You see, we all remember that two orbits were raised before Vikram lander separated from it. So this is the first orbit you see it is going on here, and then the second orbit also takes place for Chandrayaan. Here on, now precisely here, the separation happens. So there you go. This is the animation of the separation. This is Vikram separating. Both Vikram and Chandrayaan are going together as of now in that lunar orbit, but it will suddenly, Vikram will change course and it takes, this is what we call deorbiting. If I can hold it for the viewers here and take it back here, the deorbiting part comes here only. This is the deorbiting part where the Vikram lander actually separated and takes a different path altogether. You will see it here. It goes into a different path. From here on, again, this is Vikram lander, which is actually touring. You see on your screens there, Vikram lander after separating from Chandrayaan 2, deorbits, takes a different orbit, while Chandrayaan 2 stays in its own orbit, which is in the lunar orbit itself. Then this is when the Vikram orbit will start scanning. This is a deboosting procedure, this is called. It reaches very close to the surface of the Earth, and then it scans the surface of the Earth, and then the landing also happens. So this is what precisely Vikram lander is going to do now. To add for the benefit of the viewers here, what we saw just now, it's the near circular orbit in which Vikram has 3 more missions before it attempts the landing. So this is the landing part here. We will go back very quickly. And I play the video here once again. See this orbiter scanning of the lunar surface. This is what Vikram is supposed to do before it lands. There's a very crucial part here. And this will decide on September 7th, exactly, precisely at 1:55 a.m. in the morning. That is the schedule time. That is the ETA for Vikram the lander. And when this is precisely done, when the scanning and everything is good to go, then the landing will happen there. It's not just the landing part here. I would like to tell our viewers also that Vikram has actually a few more orbiting to be done also, and this is not an easy one. This includes 2 orbit lowering maneuvers on September 3rd and 4th. So on September 3rd and 4th also, this separation, this post-separation orbiting will continue.
Right. So, it's going to be a crucial task at landing. It's also going to be a crucial task post-landing as well, because, General Sivach, there's going to be a payload that also has to be taken care of by the rover Pragyan. And that is going to be a meticulous task which has to be, in a way, controlled by ISRO and, meticulously monitored as well at the same time.
Absolutely correct. See, the point is now the crucial phase of the complete mission is starting now. Now you say the lander is already start reducing its speed as well as distance from the moon. It will now try to do a soft landing, and once it does the soft landing, then you will find that basically the rover coming and trying to explore. The point in this is that this has a life only of 14 days because it works on a solar panel. Possibly both as far as the lander and the rover has a life of 14 days, whereas the orbiter has a life of 1 year. So the point is, now the SC test is that how do we do the soft landing and with the payload what you are saying, and then thereafter this rover will go and carry out those experiments which are need to be done, which are very crucial not only for India, even for NASA. Because this is a place where we are going to explore many things. This is a territory not been explored. Then n number of other issues are there. What sort of minerals are there? Whether water is there or not. If water is there, in which form it is there. Because this will be a game changer for future experiments on the moon. Especially southern. The way I was mentioning you, NASA is thinking that in case in future, if they have to take the human beings and to be kept in the moon, then instead of equator and northern side, the southern side meets the requirement more, because if there is a water. So that's a thing. So it is very crucial. Now the speed is, as well as the distance of a lander is reducing. Subsequently, I suppose on 4th also it will further reduce, because the orbiter is doing from 100 kilometer by 100 kilometer apogee. But this lander is reducing speed and reducing the distance to the moon, and finally on 7th it will do a soft landing, which is the most complex and the crucial phase of this mission.
Absolutely. And Mr. Gupta, it's also supposed to be understood very clearly that, General Sivach mentioned that NASA will also benefit from this particular, expedition by ISRO. And Artemis is a manned mission that NASA is planning. And according to what NASA had tweeted a few days back, that this mission is going to give them some specific, intelligible, usable inputs, which are going to be crucial and pertinent to the success of Artemis as well. So they are going to be monitoring it very closely.
Very true. Very true. This is the instrument payload which our Vikram is carrying. One of the payload is from NASA also, and this is a passive laser refractometer. What does it do is basically it is, you can understand in a layman's term, it is a special kind of mirror which will reflect back the light thrown to it. So what happens is that by using the principles of laser light, you are able to very precisely know down to the few centimeters exact distance between Earth and the moon. Now why it is important? Because for future missions, when you are planning, you need to know how it is changing, how moon is receding. It is understood so far that it is receding from Earth at a rate of about a couple of centimeters per year. So very, very slow, but that is very important. Then how the moon is rotating. Both these things combined, they will throw some more light on the core, how the moon is constructed. What is the core? So all these things will help in planning the future missions to NASA and also to our country as well. So that's why, besides there are many other, as General Sivach was telling, it is carrying our own payloads which are primarily oriented towards understanding the elements on the moon's surface and sub-Earth, the properties, what is the conductivity, thermal conductivity and other thermophysical parameters of the moon's soil. Right,
and the seismic activity underneath as well.
Slightly. And then the seismic activity. Is it a totally dead planet or a satellite, or there is some seismic activity?
Is there a core like Earth?
Oh, yes. So this will throw, not only in terms of science, it will throw more light on how moon originated and possibly what is the link between the origin of moon and origin of Earth. So scientifically it is going to give us tremendous information besides the elemental analysis. It has got certain specific spectrometers which will carry out laser induced degradation of the soil and help in determining what is the constitution of the soil. It will help us find out what are the elements, means let us say helium. It is presumed that we are going to get a lot of helium over there. Helium-3 is the element required for fusion energy. Then water again is a very, very important, not only water is of course required for human beings to survive, but that is not all. Much more important is that when you want to plan out long distance space missions, you need a fuel. Moon, if the water is found, water will be used as a future fuel in the microwave plasma thruster. So it is the fuel for future, directly using a clean fuel, safe fuel for the future space missions, and moon, if the water is found, can act as a refueling station. So, not just a base for doing scientific experiment, not just for mining more minerals, but as a very, very important aspect is the presence of water, which Chandrayaan 1 had for the first time discovered. Now it is going to be used as a fuel for future.
Wonderful. And General Sivas, even if we look back at the first moon mission, with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, on one hand it showed the capability of the United States, although it's a different matter that there was a space race going on between Russia and the United States at that time, where Russia in fact went bankrupt trying to catch up with the United States. But on the other hand, it also showed that what was possible once you land on the moon. A lot of communications opened up, a lot of technology, a lot of science was in fact thrown open to the entire world once somebody landed on the moon. Now ISRO and the mission that we have at hand is perhaps on a similar threshold as well. Do you concur?
Absolutely correct. See, the point is that there was a race between America and Russia, and of course the Russians tried to catch up and they did whatever best they can do it. But somewhere Americans lost the interest in moon after some time.
After 72, yeah.
After that the inventions were not, because moon is a hub center of a lot of mysteries, and moon could have been utilized for future, space exploration. Now, as we were trying to bring out, now the issue is that whatever is found on moon has a linkage between Earth and moon. So, therefore, any exploration in the moon, and so it will give us the boost. The main thing is, if you want to explore the other planet, Mars and others, you need a staging camps. And the staging camps you can find in the moon. In case this water is found out, the water is not only this, the hydrogen and oxygen, when they are separately done, becomes a very good fuel. So that is very important thing is. Then also it can be a base for human beings. After all, it is just a beginning. So finally, if you have to make a staging camp for exploring the space in future, say to the Mars, now moon can become a very good launch pad. And if it is to be launch pad, then water plays a major role. Water not only for survival of human being, but for a clean fuel, which was brought by my co-panelist, ki once it can be broken into hydrogen, oxygen, it is also a good fuel. And the another issue is that ki this is the area which has not been explored by any other country. This is very surprisingly, when there is a chances of finding more water in the southern side, why was it not explored? And this remains always in the shadow area, therefore the chances are more. So therefore it will open number of other questions, number of other mysteries will be opened up, and this is an exploration not for India, for the whole world. We are going to share whatever we find to the complete world, especially to NASA. So as this is a victory of humankind, and I am sure that everyone is praying that this mission should succeed, that there should be a soft landing, because that is the acid test. And that is where the crunch of this mission lies. If that's the soft landing and then rover goes out and then carry out the experiment which are need to be done, that will open up a number of issues, and that will give us sort of insight for future generation or future mission which are going not only in moon but also in Mars. So the connectivity between moon and Mars is coming up, that if we want to utilize moon as a staging camp and a launch pad, then moon must have water, moon must have survivability in future, then only it can be used as a launch pad.
As a launch pad. Mr. Gupta, there is a saying in English that man's reach exceeds his grasp, and that is exactly what ISRO has proven today. But let's also remind our viewers as to what the impediments could have been like. We've made it so far, but it has not been without peril. Let's talk about the distance. It's 3.84 lakh kilometers away from the Earth. Let's talk about, the other astronomical gravity, bodies which in fact could have slowed down this mission as well. Let's also talk about the fact that, there's a non-uniform gravity of the Earth and the moon, which could have made this mission a little topsy and turvy, but we have gotten over all of that with a lot of smoothness. But at the same time, it has to be recognized, it has to be acknowledged. You concur?
Definitely, definitely. See, this is not a mean achievement. Space exploration per se is a very, very risky affair.
Right.
and it requires a lot of courage to plan out and a lot of scientific knowledge, thorough understanding of scientific knowledge and principles when you plan out these missions. Now, as I said, after separation, once it is separated, the lander is going to be of its own. It has built-in artificial intelligence to take its own decisions, to find more information and decide where to land, how to slow down, everything. But who has built in? Our own scientists have built in.
Indigenous.
Sitting here, planning out based on all kind of whatever information is available and putting it into that brain which they have built inside the lander and inside Vikram. So, another aspect is, of course, there is a long way we have travelled from the days when Dr. Vikram Sarabhai returned from Cambridge 1947 and set up his physical research laboratory with his own money and the money borrowed from his colleagues and friends. That time no government was interested in kind of space exploration. But since then there is his great vision that we reached the level when we started sending sounding rockets into the space. We started putting our own Bhaskar satellite, Aryabhat satellite, and then we had small rockets came to the level of PSLV. So, step by step we have progressed. But the most important thing, how our space program has been unique and much different from others, as you were referring to the competition, the race. We have never went for a mad race. Right in 1947 itself, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, when he was just 28-year-old young person, he had said that the use of explorations is when you put this scientific knowledge for the betterment of human life, for the real problems, real life problems. So, we have to solve those problems and make the life of a common citizen better.
Yeah. In this, the most interesting part is that how come India is so successful in exploration of space and satellite. My point is we are not able to manufacture any aircraft of our own, where the scientific knowledge is less than this. We are managed to send a mission to moon and totally indigenous. No, the point is somewhere there is a mismatch. I am saying that today if your military industry, defense industry want to do well, because majority of your funds are going for importing your weapons and especially aircraft, Rafale and all we are buying. I am saying you have produced Chandrayaan, which is cheaper than any other space satellite going to moon, and you are making this mission possible. Why don't we explore other things? So, it means we have a capability. There is no doubt about it. Your satellite as well as your space missile give you indication we are one of the best in the world. We can now the way the scientists are monitoring Chandrayaan 2, that it will land, it will be a lander, then rover. This gives a glimpse that you are a power to be reckoned with, and you are not a novice in avionics. So I'm saying, I'm sure
I fully agree with General Sivach.
Why can't we do anything more?
I fully agree with General Sivach that we have all the capabilities.
Absolutely correct.
Just a few months back, we had DRDO conducted Mission Shakti. As you know, I consider our Chandrayaan 2 and Mission Shakti very much complementing each other.
Absolutely correct.
Because with missions like Chandrayaan, we are creating assets in space, whereas Mission Shakti is required to defend and protect those assets through credible deterrence. But that is not all. Both Mission Shakti as well as Chandrayaan 2 fully 100% indigenous. Now, I don't agree that we don't have capability. We have all capabilities of manufacturing, whether it is aircraft, tank.
But why are we importing aircrafts? Why are we relying on other nations?
I think that's a different ballgame altogether. There has been a craze for imports. We have to stop that. We have to stop that.
But we could have done the same thing when it came to our space program.
I will give you an example. In the 90s, when we conducted the nuclear test, they were all gone total banned. All things were banned to us. Our Tejas program suffered a lot. Now, let us see why we are successful in missiles and why we are successful in Chandrayaan 2. Because whatever money you spend, nobody is going to give you that. So, imports were impossible. Whichever area imports were impossible, we have succeeded well. Now, why imports? I have a very big question mark and has to be tackled. I think I will be very happy to discuss in detail all those debates, because I am from DRDO and I have seen how the things, indigenous things have been simply like, I gave you the example of Arjun tank. It's a beautiful tank. Israelis, they conducted tests on this tank and they say it is a wonderful tank. But somehow not being detected.
No, no. See, my point is, you have to, it is both way. The issue is that we must celebrate that there is a success as far as your space and missiles are concerned. It is second to none, and we are the best of the best.
True.
And people will sit down, countries like America and all, will now sit on the same table with you and will like to share those thought process. Today, NASA has also sent a payload in Chandrayaan 2. It's a matter of, pride for all of us that they have so much faith. But I'm trying to convey that this must be translated into other things also. We are too much dependent on our import of weapons. Whatever are the problems on the either side, we need to resolve as a nation. And we must start making indigenously. We can be in future the country which will be then exporting, because the majority of our budget goes in purchasing these items. Almost 60 to 70% of your budget is only procuring these items. So if we can manufacture within country, whatever you are saying,
and you have mentioned a very strong and very valid point.
Absolutely.
That with Chandrayaan 2, we shall be sitting on the table as haves and not as have-nots.
Not as have-nots. In fact, this puts
correct.
India on a different paradigm and a different map altogether, and it is all due to the hard work, success, intelligence, and of course acumen of our brilliant scientists. Well, with that, we have to end the show. Thank you, General Srivach and Mr. Gupta, for joining us. It was always a pleasure having you on the show. We'll be back shortly with more.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.